Mike here at DBU Recording Studio. This is the sixth and final video in a series of drum mixing videos where we're starting with raw tracks that sound like this. And we're working towards a final mix that sounds like this. In this video, we'll look at effect sends processing. In this mix, I've set up two sends. One, a plate reverb, and second, a hall reverb. In both cases, I've used the Cubase Reverence plugin. So the plate reverb comes from the Reverence plate at 2 seconds preset, and the hall reverb uses the Austrian concert hall preset. I like to have two reverbs to work with. I find each one adds a slightly different character, and when blended together, results in a very nice sound. I've also added the Studio EQ to both of these tracks. On the plate reverb, the Studio EQ is cutting the low end to prevent any buildup in that region. And on the hall reverb, the Studio EQ is doing the same low cut, but adding a bit of highs for some shimmer on the reverb, and a dip here at about 315 hertz to remove some low-mid noise that was coming from the plugin. And by that I mean reverb noise, not plugin noise. So those are our two reverbs that are set up. And for each of the components of the drums, I've created sends to the two reverbs. So there's sends on the kick track, sends on the snare bus, and sends on the overhead bus. And I've set up the send amount accordingly for whatever works best with those tracks. Note that the plate reverb is not used on the overheads, as it didn't add anything. The final send here on the kick is the side chain to the compressor on the snare track that was talked about during the snare processing video. So let's bring each of these reverbs in one at a time, and we'll see what that does to our final mix. I'm going to start with the overheads, then add the kick, and finally the snare. And there it is, the final mix, where we started with our raw tracks, added the various bus processing and individual track processing, couple of sends, and we have a very nice sounding final drum kit. Thanks for watching this series. This is Mike at DBU Recording Studio. Keep making music.